Do it. All right, here we are, a week after hunting season. It's ended, so most people go through this period of duck depression and all of that. You know, we've been doing it for 60 days and everybody's singing the blues and all that, but I'll tell you one right now, I'm not singing the blues. I'd say overall, had a decent year. Here's the shining spot about this year. It was better than last year. So if you ain't fired up about that, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your problem is. So this year personally, on the hunts that I went on, I watched a total of 801 ducks and geese come into the bag. So that's recovered birds, that's not crippled birds, that's just recovered animals by our dogs and brought back to our hand. We did that on 43 hunts, which was an average of 18.6 ducks a hunt. We had 157 hunters on the hunts that I went on, which roughly gets you to 5.1 ducks per hunter per hunt. So, I mean, I'm not real smart, but that's almost a limit for every hunter every time we went. That's pretty good duck hunting. Now, the devil lies in the details of those numbers. One thing that me and my buddy did this year, we decided we're going to significantly cut back on the number of people we take hunting. You know, we had a time where we were chasing numbers. We all went through that young bloodlust stage where, you know, numbers mattered and all that. Well, we're past that. We've gotten older, we've matured, and now it's so much more than about the numbers to us. You know, I'll say that transformation for me started when I started working at Duck Commander. So 10 years ago, I kind of started transforming from that young kind of bloodlustful hunter to really wanting to get ducks just perfect before we shoot them. And a lot of that comes from having a camera over your shoulder. You know, you want to produce the best quality footage you can. You want to produce the best experience for the viewer you can. So with that, my whole philosophy on a lot of things about duck hunting changed, but especially so this year. So we generally have to entertain a lot of people. And we still did that this year, but what we did was we said, we're going to be me and him plus two more. And that's pretty well the group that we hunted with all year. We hunted with 4 people. That's 24 ducks a day. That's a lot of fun. 24 to me is kind of like the sweet spot of the number of ducks. Like it takes long enough so you're there long enough to get good footage, get a lot of chances in case you screw up something or in case, you know, you have some poor shooting, which we all have poor shooting, just most of it dies on the editing room floor in our case. You know, you boys sit there and talk about it. So there are days where we screw things up. I can tell you one right now, and look, he'll probably show it because he's smiling as he's thinking about it. We had 6 mallards over the plugs at 15 yards. I throw it, boom, kill the first one. That's the only one that died. And I ain't blaming my partners, I'm blaming myself. I had 2 more shells. I should have killed 2 more mallard ducks. They couldn't go nowhere. And well, I guess I just pointed at them and, you know, just pow, boom, you know, ain't nothing to do with the gun, the shells, the choke, none of that. That's on me. So it happens. We screw up, but that change in philosophy for us by going to less people really helped us, because what it did is eliminates the amount of pressure that our ducks receive. Down here in the South these days, we just don't get the number of ducks we used to. Not a big deal. We still get plenty. Don't hear me griping. We still get plenty of ducks here to hunt and chase and do all that. But when you don't have the overall numbers, you have to adjust to what the ducks are doing. So again, we moved down to 4 hunters, and we said 9:30 we're out. No matter if we got them or we ain't, we're done hunting at 9:30. You know, those are 2 huge philosophical changes in hunting that we did to ensure that our hunting was better. If you look at this year compared to last, so this year we killed 801 on 43 hunts. Last year we shot 730 on 50 hunts. So 7 more hunts, 70 less ducks, which equals the difference between 18.6 a hunt and 16 a That's a lot. And I'll tell you this, last year, I told you, earlier we had an average of about 4 guys per hunt on this year. We would have been averaging 6 guys. So we're shooting 3 limits a day this year, where last year we weren't even shooting 3 limits. And the difference is, this year we had 3 limits for 4 hunters, or not even 3 limits for 6 hunters. So that's a huge difference. That's a huge bit of pressure taken off your ducks. It's just things that you have to do. This year, for the second year in a row, thank goodness we were somewhat dry this year, where last year we were flooded the whole year. But we didn't get a winter, man. The North just never got a winter. So one thing I've learned in my duck hunting experience and being able to travel the country and shoot ducks and have fun and do all that is one thing will move mallard ducks, and that's snow cover. If they don't have snow and ice cover to cover their food up north, them fat, lazy rascals ain't gonna move. End of story, bottom line, don't matter. That's just what it is. And you know what? I don't blame them, because this fat, lazy sucker wouldn't move either if he could stay up there and eat. If you're telling me I cut my trip in half on what I used to have to do, I'm flying from North Dakota to Louisiana, dodging everybody in between it, and then turn around and head back up there. If I can go from North Dakota to North Missouri and stop and eat and be fat and sassy, that's what I'm going to do. So, that's just my deal. So consider me a lot like a mallard. But the big drop-offs this year in our numbers were in green-winged teal and in blue-winged teal. Now, blue-winged teal, we killed 60 this year. Last year we shot 151. That includes the early season. So last year we had a pretty great early season. This year we did not. This year was terrible. It was like 97 to 100 degrees every day for 16 days, or for 15 days, I should say, because the last day it cooled off and we actually killed them. But it was 97 degrees, drought, no water anywhere to hold ducks. That every little bit of water had a hunter in it. So tons of pressure, no birds, really hot. I'll tell you this right now, for the first time in my career, I teal hunted that many times this year, 4. I went opening day because it felt like I had to. Went the day after because you're like, yeah, man, it'll be good. Then I kept waking up and it was like 82 degrees when I'd wake up. I'm like, I ain't doing it. So I would scout every afternoon to make sure, because blue wings are a big photo migrator, so they migrate on length of day and all that. A little cool front helps move them along. And I would go check our holes. We got about 4 places we can hunt. And if they weren't there, I didn't bother with them. So as you can tell, they weren't there from the first 2 days up until the last 2 days. I hunted the last 2 days. The one day we shot 12. I found a hole had 15 on it. We went back next morning, we shot 12 of them. That's 2 men. That's pretty high percentage duck hunting there. And then the next day, I found a wad of them, about 300, and me and my buddies, Dennis and Billy, we went and shot like 36 of them. So we had 6 of us. It was a great hunt. Good way to send blue wings out on. But the green wing teal, I try not to get too caught up in this, because our green wing numbers were down on harvest year over year. But I'll tell you this, last year my rear end sat in a metal box a lot more than it did this year. So green wing teal love a rice field. I think I shot a pit blind like 4 times this year. So that has a lot to do with that number being decreased. I'm tired of pit blind hunting. That's just is what it is. Our mallards were up 50 roughly, so 211 this year, 166 last year. So our number 2 duck on the year is mallards. In North Louisiana, when your number 2 duck can be mallards, you had a pretty good year. So that again, that I'm as happy as I've ever been with that. One cool thing that we saw, the difference between last year and this year, was the gadwalls actually increased. So last year we shot like 90 gadwalls. This year we killed 135. That's a big deal to me, because in these days Louisiana's kind of a teal gadwall-esque state. You can get mallards, but those are your 2 number ducks. So when you ain't got gadwalls here, you're struggling. And last year we didn't have any here, so that'll tell you how much we're struggling. Woodies were about the same, mid-50s this year, mid-40s last year. Pintails, roughly the same. Shovelers, roughly the same. Ringnecks were way up this year. So yes, we do shoot ringnecks. No, we do not apologize for it. It is what it is. I'm not too proud. We killed 6 widgeon this year, which is something we don't kill a lot of. Last year we only killed 1. A few scattered singles of like canvasbacks, redheads. There's always the token hooded merganser. I always get one a year. I don't know why, but it always happens, and it's always the same story. Right about legal, just come buzzing through there. And by the time I pull the trigger, I realize, uh-oh, hoodie. But that signal's been fired from here to here, and it just happens. So, shot 8 speckled bellies. Most of them were in WRP, which is awesome. Like getting speckled bellies down in little short trees, that's fun. And then we killed one token snow goose. So I say all that to say this, the reason I keep them year after year and look at things is every year was a duck hunter look forward to in August. You look forward to the FFI, the Fall Flight Index. You want to know how many ducks are coming, and whether you believe the numbers or not, whatever, they are what they are. But if you believe them consistently, it gives you a baseline of data to go off of. So I saw this year, you know, when we got them, I can't remember them all exactly because I don't have it committed to memory, but I remember seeing a small decline in green-winged teal. If you look at our numbers, 60 less, that kind of bears it out. Mallards stayed somewhat steady with a little decline. Our mallards were somewhat steady. Gadwalls actually showed an uptick this year. Gadwalls, uptick on the harvest deal. Blue wings were down quite a bit. Our blue wings were down quite a bit. Now, I don't think it's because there were less blue wings. I think it was rotten weather. But you can see that your harvest trends will a lot of times match what that Fall Flight Index says. And it'll also give you a deal of knowing next year, like where you stand as a population as a whole. I'll say this. We didn't kill many juvenile birds this year. You know, I inspect every duck that we kill. I look for pin feathers. I look for their edges of their feathers, if they're sharp or if they're dull or all that, just to kind of get a rough age on where we're at on ducks. And just to see a good mix up. What you like to see is, you know, like a 50-50 ratio. And I would say that ours was more of a 25-75 to juveniles to adult birds. So it concerns me that we're not killing many juvenile birds. Now, that there's a lot of factors that go into that. Are people north of us killing more juvenile birds than we are? I don't know. I don't have their records. I don't have their data. I can only speculate. Or was the hatch pretty rotten? You know, I know the wetlands this year were in a pretty good drought up there, prairie pothole region. So it would make sense that it was kind of a rotten hatch, so you didn't have a lot of juvenile birds to feed the flyway. So, you know, with that being said, when you don't have a lot of juveniles, you don't have birds replacing your older birds that are going to die of natural causes, whether that be predation, old age, cold, whatever. Just, you know, they're like humans. They die of all sorts of things. It ain't just hunters that get them. It ain't just eagles and owls that get them. So there's a lot of different things. But you like to see a higher percentage of juveniles. That way you know you got birds to replace them the next year. So if you're asking me for an early prediction next year, I'm going to say that the early prediction is overall numbers right now, from what I've seen, will be down unless the prairie potholes get filled back up with snow cover and rain this spring. So anyway, that's kind of the numbers behind duck hunting. That's the nerdy part of me doing what I enjoy doing. I encourage everybody out there to keep a list of this kind of stuff. If you're a public land hunter, keep river stages, keep water levels, keep this, that, the other. It's amazing. Like this year, I sat here and watched our local river and waited and waited and waited, and then I was going to be gone for SHOT Show when it got right. So I texted a buddy of mine, young guy, he don't get to hunt a lot. I said, look, go here, and I dropped him a pin, because I knew the water level. The ducks are going there when the water gets there. So I dropped him the pin, sent it to him, and while I'm at SHOT Show, he sends me a picture back of like, you know, 18 ducks on public ground. I was like, they still do the same thing, guys. So if you'll keep those log records, it'll help you be a more successful hunter. So as we head into a long off season, we got a lot of new stuff coming for you guys. Our hunting footage from this year is all up, so if you want to know the kind of year we had, go check it out. But we're getting into another one of my favorite times of year, springtime. You know what that means. Them crappies is about to be biting. Them bass are about to be biting. Everything gonna be biting. And then we'll go shoot a few of them old chickens that walk around in the wood and make a bunch of racket. They fun. The best thing about them is they are excellent table fare. So That's why I hunt them, because golly, them turkeys is fine eating. So keep checking it out. We're going to update you with stuff weekly. We got some new series coming, kind of a duck hunting 101 kind of deal. So we'll be helping you beginners out, and you know, I'd recommend some of you veterans watch it too. We may show y'all something you ain't thought of, or vice versa. Look, don't forget, comment down below. Tell us what you want to see, guys, and we'll do our best to make it happen. We're going to go through all of our duck calls again. We're going to update those videos. We're just going to keep giving you stuff until you tell us to stop. So appreciate y'all. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go fishing.